Begin with Sunday night hoops in the ACC, where Duke had beaten Wake Forest 5 straight times, but a funny thing happened on the way to number 6 in a row. Second half of a three-point game, Ishmael Smith to L.D. Williams. One more look, I suspect that might be a Jim Jam.
Oh, one-hander.
Wake up by 5, and then Williams, he goes inside, he goes outside, the step-back three, Deeks by 8.
That was only really part of the story. I thought a big portion of the story was Duke's inability to hit the three. Kyle Singler there, only 8 of 28, though, from behind the line.
Well, Paulus lays it in to tie the game at 52. That caps an 11-0 Devils run. But here, a big call. DeMarcus Nelson whistled for his third foul. He would eventually be disqualified. There was a lot more where that came
Yeah, actually, all 5 starters fouled out, Scotty, for the Blue Devils.
There's Gerald Henderson. He was gone. James Johnson, the freshman, had 24 and 16 rebounds.
Wyoming product, and they got more on the way.
Jeff Teague off glass. Teague with 26, another freshman. And then the fouls, TB, you mentioned this, really starting to haunt the Blue Devils. Lance Thomas looked like a pretty good trap, but he is called for the foul, so he is gone. And then Singler, that's a charge. The 4th Duke starter to foul out.
I thought that was a bad call. I thought he moved and slid under.
And Paulus, the lone remaining starter on the floor for the Devils, and that's it. In the final minute, the 5th starter to be disqualified. John Shire didn't foul out, but he went 0 for 8 from the floor. And they're storming the court in Winston-Salem, 86-73. Wake Forest maybe getting itself back into the conversation for an NCAA bid.
And you know what was impressive? There was an intentional foul call that seemed to be pretty bogus. At that point, Duke went on a 16-3 run, but Wake held serve and came back and played real well at the end.
So Duke loses its first ACC game of the year. Meanwhile, a great win for Dino Gaudio and the Deeks.
I thought our kids really did a great job of pushing the ball, 1, and then number 2, attacking the basket in the half court. We wanted to drive the ball. I thought we did a good job of that. I'm proud of our kids. You know, we started 2 freshmen, 3 sophomores. A win like this over the number 2 team in the country, they did a great job. I'm proud of them.
How about this? Since Tim Duncan left Wake Forest, the Deacons have beaten the Devils 4 times. Just happens to be the last 4 meetings in Winston-Salem during the month of February. Duke has been ranked in the top 8 during all of those meetings. So, Doug, how did the Deeks take Duke out of its game on the defensive end?
Well, I think they exposed Duke in 2 areas. One, defense at the point of the attack between Jeff Teague, who had 26, and even Ishmael Smith just took it right to Greg Paulus constantly. Wake Forest lived in the lane. Speaking of living in the lane, so did freshman James Johnson. We had 3 questions about the Duke Blue Devils. What happens when they don't shoot the 3 well? What happens when you get quality guard play that attacks the Duke defense? And what happens when you get an inside score? The Deben Deacons did all 3, and Duke shot 8 for 28 from 3-point range, and so they lost. It's not a surprise, but I think the big thing is, just like Coach Gaudio said, Wake Forest attacked, eerily similar to the Virginia Commonwealth.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is it was a wonderful win for Dino Gaudio. Obviously, his friendship with Skip Prosser, it was a big night. You know, you knew one night they were going to win one for the skipper, no pun intended, and tonight was, in fact, that night.
I think Duke's going to look back at this and say, man, our defense just fell off, and yes, they didn't get some calls down the stretch, and they all fouled out, but their defense was exceptionally soft at the point and 2-guard position.
So now only 3 remaining teams in Division I unbeaten in conference play: Memphis, Davidson, and Cornell. How about